In one of the final scenes of the movie, Groot finally says something other than "I am Groot." There's a specific reason for this scene, and today we'll discover it together. In fact, I'll soon be telling you about 15 things you may not have noticed while watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Hi guys, and welcome to Pizza Plot. Despite not being the best of times for MCU products, mainly due to lack of appreciation from viewers for the latest movies and TV shows, most fans were on pins and needles waiting for the third installment of the Guardians of the Galaxy saga to hit theaters. A sub-series that's quite different from most Marvel products, but always loved by the audience, especially because of James Gunn's unique direction for each of these 3 films. The movie did not disappoint. In fact, it can be considered a breath of fresh air, at least in terms of quality considering the current state of the MCU. We're talking about a fun film that also tackles some deep themes, always keeping the entertainment value high. Today, just a few days after it's released in theaters, let's discover 15 things you may have missed while watching the movie. As always, I invite you to smash that like button and drop your rating from 1 to 10 for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in the comments. Much of the film's plot revolves around the character of Rocket, one of the most loved among the Guardians, who is seriously injured in the early minutes and remains in critical condition throughout the film. During the movie, we see many flashbacks related to his past, and we finally discover the sad origin of the character. Several times during the film, we're reminded that Rocket is only a pseudonym he created, while his real name, connected to the experiment that created him, is 89P13. In reality, for those who didn't notice, it's already possible to see this code, always in relation to Rocket, long before this film. In the first film of the saga, in fact, when the team gets arrested and futuristic mugshots of Rocket are taken, his code can already be read next to his name. During the film, we're shown the Ravagers, space bandits among whom the new version of Gamora is now enlisted, I'll bet only for a few minutes. Among them, however, we can identify a very particular one that stands out, being completely red and especially having powers that strongly resemble those of Doctor Strange and sorcerers in general. This reference is not random. In fact, this character actually exists in the comics. His name is Kruger, and for a time, he was directly an apprentice of Doctor Strange. Throughout the Guardians of the Galaxy saga, there's a small detail that perhaps not everyone has noticed, but becomes quite frequent in this Volume 3. In addition to being very interesting and a stroke of genius, the film features many famous and popular songs, especially those related between 1970 and 2000. The particular detail, however, lies in the fact that unlike what usually happens in movies, when the viewer hears a song, it's not because it was simply put as background music, but because the characters themselves are listening to it, for example, through headphones or a stereo. This detail is truly hidden and perceptible, and only viewers who look regularly in the field of special effects may have noticed it. In one of the early scenes of the film, we can see Nebula carrying a very drunk Peter in her arms. No one would have noticed that that's not the real Peter. It's actually a replica created by the set designers using rubber and artificial materials. This perfectly crafted copy was made to allow the actress to effectively carry Peter's body, which would have otherwise been too heavy for her to bear alone. Towards the end of the film, there's an enigmatic scene which surprised everyone, especially Groot fans. The character, who always only says "I am Groot" and is understood only by his friends, says a different and meaningful phrase: "I love you guys."
I love you guys.
This is obviously a conscious choice by the director and a metaphorical gift to the audience. In this scene, Groot doesn't speak differently. It is us who, like the new Gamora at the end of the film, manage to understand him. Groot can only be understood by his friends, and therefore, after an adventure spanning 3 exciting films, we the viewers can also consider ourselves part of it. We all know the creation of Adam, one of the most famous frescoes in art history depicting Adam reaching out to touch the finger of God. Within the film, probably due to his love for art, James Gunn wanted to include a direct reference to the artwork. In fact, towards the end, in the scene where Adam Warlock saves Peter from certain death, the two create the fresco perfectly, assuming the same pose. It's also interesting that it's a hero named Adam who does this. When When the Guardians descend into the central headquarters of the company where Rocket's file is located, they all wear suits of different colors. Perhaps not everyone noticed, but Gamora and Nebula, who have green and blue skin respectively, swap these colors in their suits. This choice is not accidental, but related to their personalities of the characters and the complete role reversal that has taken place since the beginning of the saga. In the first film, Nebula was the surly and dangerous one, while Gamora, an ally of the Guardians, was more cheerful and patient. In this latest film, the two have completely reversed their personalities for various reasons, explained in the movie. More than a hidden detail, this is a small script oversight committed by the creators of the film. When Drax and Mantis find the children locked up in the spaceship, they speak a seemingly unknown language, and Mantis mentions that her translator doesn't have that language, highlighting her ability to translate even unknown languages. However, Drax understands it, so it's unlikely that the creatures born in the laboratory speak a language that exists solely for them. Considering this, the problem lies in the fact that just a few scenes earlier, once they landed on the counter-Earth, the whole team struggles immensely to communicate with the inhabitants, with Mantis herself resorting to mimicking words to be understood. What raises eyebrows is that the subsequent scene with the children, she claims she can't translate the language despite being an existing language, while in the previous scene, where it would have made sense to mention it, she didn't make the slightest reference to her translation ability. Unlike other characters, Drax never had a proper superhero costume, but he was always recognizable thanks to his unique skin, which was often visible as he was particularly always shirtless. However, in this third film, he's hardly ever shirtless instead. He's always dressed either in the Guardian suit or the spacesuit. This choice is not random but intentional, and it's due to the fact that the actor, due to the immense difficulty of maintaining his physique, Bautista in fact has retired from wrestling and is now solely an actor, with no intention of spending most of his time maintaining his physique. That's also why we are unlikely to see him reprising the role of Drax. During one of the final scenes of the film, amidst the various battle moments, there's a reference to one of the all-time beloved characters, Wolverine, who, by the way, will be returning in a Marvel film alongside Deadpool in the coming years. The reference can be found in Groot's hands, when Groot, along with the others, prepares for battle. He positions himself in a manner very similar to Wolverine, even growing claws resembling his own, using his roots, of course. For a brief moment in the film, there's a small Easter egg featuring Howard the Duck, who, for those who don't know, is a Marvel character resembling an anthropomorphic duck. The character, often underrated by fans, is actually beloved by James Gunn, who had briefly included him in both the first and second Guardians films. Naturally, Howard couldn't be absent in the third film, where we see him sitting in nowhere while interacting with the Russian dog and other characters. At a certain point in the film, precisely when Rocket wakes up and the High Evolutionary contacts the Guardians, Peter insults him heavily until he hangs up. In doing so, Peter refers to him as a poor man's Skeletor. For those who don't know, this is a reference to the world of comics, toys, and animated series not related to Marvel. Skeletor is the famous main antagonist of He-Man and is characterized by having only a skull instead of a face, much like the High Evolutionary, as we can see at the end of the film. As mentioned, Gunn is an extremely modern director who always wants to give a clear and fresh touch to his films. In this case, however, he wanted to make a small appearance in the film. In the scene where Mantis frees the various creatures trapped in the spacecraft, she encounters one of the deformed features that frightens her. This creature is voiced by the film's director himself. During the second of the two post-credit scenes, we see Peter's grandfather reading a newspaper, and on the front page, it immediately catches the eye. Alien invasion, Kevin Bacon confesses all. For those who don't know, this is a direct reference to the Guardians Christmas special, which involved Kevin Bacon, and as this scene demonstrates, it's perfectly canonical within the MCU. At some point in the movie, when Peter tries to get the information he wants from OrgoCorp, he goes by the name Patrick Swayze. Well, that's a dead giveaway referring to the good old 80s pop culture. In case you didn't know, Patrick Swayze was an American actor, singer, and dancer, best known for films like Dirty Dancing. He was every girl's heartthrob in America and around the globe for more than one generation. Alright folks, we've reached the end of this video. I genuinely hope you enjoyed it and found it intriguing. If you did, make sure you smash that like button below and subscribe so you won't miss out on Pizza Plot's upcoming content. Thanks for watching and catch you in the next video. Bye guys.